The other component that goes with the student portfolio is the teacher assessment binder, and in the teacher assessment binder there are the different assessments and then summary sheets for the assessments, as well as a place to store individual student notes. So the first thing you see when you open a binder is a list of the different sections, and in the binder there is a section for learning goals, assessment directions, assessment summary sheets, additional resources, sample student portfolio, and individual summary sheet. So the first section is the section for the objectives and standards and learning goals, and these are Common Core first grade standards for English, language arts, and math, and the standards are on the left side, and then deconstructed standards for the teacher is in the middle, and on the far right side are the key student goals. The student goals are a little bit more simplified, especially considering it's first grade, and don't have a goal for each exact standard. It's a little bit more kid-friendly. So the next section is the assessments section, and they're broken into the three groups again: reading, writing, and math, and this is just serves as a list for the different assessments that are in here. So after the list, each assessment is broken down with a little bit of an example and some simple directions. So it goes through each of the reading assessments, including letter, sound identification, reading concepts, reading level assessment, story and retell, oral reading fluency, and sight word assessment. And then it moves into writing, and it goes through the directions for the different writing assessments, including letter formation, writing vocabulary, writing conventions and ideas, hearing and recording sounds and words, and then the words their way primary spelling inventory. And then the next section is going to go over the different math tests, which include just a counting checklist, a place value checklist, number concepts, and measuring basic skills progress, or MBSP computation. And these are a normed addition and subtraction probe. So the next section are the actual assessment summary sheets. Since it is first grade, there aren't pencil and paper type assessments. They're all checklist based or using a kit of some sort. So the different assessment summary sheets in here are letter sound identification, reading concepts, reading level, reading retell, oral reading fluency, Fry sight words, letter formation, writing vocabulary, writing conventions and ideas, hearing and recording sounds, words their way, primary spelling inventory, counting, place value, number concepts, and the MBSP computation probes. And the asterisks just indicate that there are additional resources for those particular assessments. So going through the different summary sheets, go in the same order. So we have letter identification summary sheet, and the idea here is that there'd be one each time you do it. Just too much information to put all in one sheet for the whole school year. So this one is simply you would list how many uppercase letters they were able to name, how many lowercase letters they're able to name, if how many sounds they're able to produce for the letters, and how many words they're able to produce that start with that letter. And then there's also a place for comments. So for this assessment, you would use flashcards and have them mixed up, a set of uppercase, a set of lowercase, and then I would just do the sound and the word with the lowercase. And then just recording the number that they know instead of trying to write each time which letters they do and don't know, because it's not always consistent. The next summary sheet is a reading level summary sheet, and this one does go for the whole year, and it has a place for the level that they're reading on, retell. So for the retell, I usually do like a check minus, a check, or a check plus, depending on their level of retell, and then how many comprehension questions they were able to answer for their instructional level, and that goes through the whole school year. And I do use numbers for students instead of the names. That way it's just easier to keep it all consistent. The next sheet is the reading concept summary sheet, and so this is similar to what's in the student portfolio, where they can mark their progress throughout the year, but it goes over picture clues, sounding out words, tracking words, reading with expression, retelling with detail, and making connections. So for this, I would just kind of stop on a given date and do a small group lesson or one-on-one and see how many times they use the picture clues, just put a check, and then you could do, 3 out of 4 times or whatever it might be. The next sheet is reading retail summary sheet, and this is a little bit more focused than the reading concept summary sheet to see what part of the retail they can get. So there's a place for character setting, the problem, the solution, and the plot summary. So again, how many times you choose to do it, put either like a check if they can do it or a circle if they can't do it, and then tally up at the end, 3 out of 4 times over the quarter they were able to do this, or 4 out of 4 times for the different components. Dibble's oral reading fluency summary sheet. This one's for the whole year. The student would, take the Dibble's 1-minute oral reading fluency probe, and then you just record how many words per minute they can read and track that throughout the year. The next summary sheet is for sight words. Again, this would be used with flashcards and just counting how many words they're able to read and writing down the number of words. And this also correlates with what's in the portfolio. Now we're moving on to writing, and this is the printing concerns checklist that comes with the Handwriting Without Tears letter formation assessment. And so it focuses on several different areas, including formation, size, neatness, speed, posture, pencil grip, and helper hand. And so when grading the assessment, and when watching them, you take notes and record which ones they're struggling with, and then you can focus mini lessons on those particular areas. Writing vocabulary summary sheet. This goes along with the Marie Clay's writing vocabulary assessment. So just counting how many words a student can write within 10 minutes and recording that for the beginning and the different times of the year. So this one you can use throughout the whole year. Writing conventions and ideas summary sheet. This covers initial capital letter, ending, punctuation, spacing, phonetic spelling, writing on topic, sequencing, and another section for comments. So again, this would be one where you could collect writing samples and say X out of Y times they were able to do this and calculate a percentage. And this is when you'd print off extra sheets for the different times you do it and just compare it that way. Hearing and recording sound summary sheet. So this also goes with the Marie Clay hearing and recording sounds assessment, where students are orally told a sentence and they are to write down the different sounds that they can hear for the different words and just counting up how many correct sounds they're able to get throughout the school year. And the last one for the writing is the Words Their Way developmental spelling level summary sheet. So after doing the feature guides for each student for the Words Their Way assessment, you could write down which level they're on, like letter name early, letter name middle, letter name late, etc., and group your students that way, all in one paper for the whole year. Moving on to math, counting summary sheet. This is just a simple how high can they count by 1s, 2s, 5s, and by 10s, and you'd use this sheet multiple times and just keep them all in here together. Number concept summary sheet goes over adding numbers to 20, subtracting numbers to 20, building numbers using 10s and 1s, comparing sets, and solving word problems. And this is the sheet that you would again do through observation and take notes of how many times they're able to do a particular skill and record that. Place value summary sheet, same idea as the number concepts one. This one goes over a little bit more specific though, with making groups of 10s, building 2-digit numbers using 10s and 1s, adding 2-digit numbers using 10s and 1s, and subtracting 2-digit numbers using 10s and 1s. And again, using a check system for X amount of times over a period and figure out how they're doing with that. And the last summary sheet is the MBSP computation summary sheet, and this is where you're using the computation probes by the Fuchs to count how many correct digits they're able to compute with basic addition and subtraction problems, and you track that over time and compare it to their norms to calculate at risk and whatnot. So that's the end of the summary sheet section. The next section are additional resources and just kind of a list of the resources that are in the binder, and then resources that you would have to find in various assessment kits, and then things you would have to make. So just kind of a list of everything you would need to do this. So the different resources that are in here are the Fry Sight Words, up to 600, probably won't need those for first grade. The Handwriting Without Tears assessment, and the sheet that the students use to record, and so that's what you would probably keep in their portfolio. Then the Writing Vocabulary Observation sheet along with the directions, and the Hearing and Recording Sounds and Words observation sheet along with the directions. And then for the Words Their Way assessment, the feature guide for primary spelling inventory, and you can use this one throughout the year. You would need one for each student, though, to figure out what their developmental spelling inventory level is. And the last one is a paper that you can use to record the different words they write for the Words Their Way assessment. So that's the end of the additional resource section. There is a sample portfolio in here, just for teacher reference, or if you need a page to make copies with. And then the last part is a section numbered for the students. And so each section has a folder, so you can kind of put something in there really quick if you don't have time to hole punch and whatnot. And then one number pocket for each section or each student, and then your individual reading summary sheet, writing summary sheet, and math summary sheet. And I find that it's nice to have the information both on a class summary sheet and individual, so when you conference with parents, you don't have to worry about covering up other students' information. You have it all here. So it's the same information that's on the class summary sheet, just broken down individually. So the reading summary sheet goes over reading level, fluency, sight words, letter sound identification, and then a place for comments. And then, because reading is so important, we also have reading concepts checklist for the whole year. So the same information that's on the summary sheet, just for the whole year for one student, so you can track it better. And then reading retell checklist, again, is the same information: character setting, problem solution, plot summary, just for the different times throughout the school year. Next is the individual writing summary sheet, and that goes over the writing vocabulary, hearing sounds, spelling level, letter number formation, and again, a place for comments. And the last one, ta-da, is the math, and again, a place for counting, 1s, 2s, 5s, and 10s, the computation, correct digit scores, and then the number concepts and the place value. Again, same information that's on the class summary sheet, just individual, and a place for comments. So you would have these papers for each student, probably along with some other things you might be doing, like keeping their running records or their Words Their Way assessments, that kind of thing. Probably use a big binder because it'll fill up pretty quickly. So that is the teacher assessment binder that goes along with the student portfolio.